Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and we're going to talk about Legends of Vox Machina, and we're specifically going to talk about Season 1, Episode 2. So, warning, spoilers for Legends of Vox Machina, the new Amazon streamer show. And actually, I'm going to give you a spoiler warning for everything that's up, okay, because I'm going to talk about it freely. So let's get into it. All right, so what I want to talk about today is when Vox Machina, as a team, slays a dragon in Episode 2. Excuse me. It's pretty epic. And so, one, I got to talk about this. So, one, I realize this, and I'm just going to warn you guys, because I realize this is a pattern. And I don't think this is just a pattern for me. I think this is a pattern for a lot of people. But I might be particularly bad at this. And I try to, monitor myself. But one of the things is, I really did not like this idea of Legends of Vox Machina. And when the thing was coming up, when they announced it, when the trailers came out, when the intro came out, when the Red Band trailer came out, I had lots of complaints. Now that the thing's up, a lot of my complaints are in the dust, and I am really kind of liking. The more I think about it, the more I really like it. So one of the things is, I was just, I watched all 3 episodes, right? Season 1, Episode 2, Vox Machina slays a dragon. And I want to talk through this because this is, honestly, I have to say, when it comes to, to Dungeons and Dragons, I pay attention, right? I care about this game a lot, right? So one, I'm really getting more and more excited about Legends of Vox Machina because it ain't doing nothing but good for 5th edition. It's just all fish. It's just a gigantic banner for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And one of the things I'm excited about is people seeing why we love this game so much. And Season 1, Episode 2 of Legends of Vox Machina, this is why we love the game, slaying dragons, right? And honestly, I have to say, Legends of Vox Machina, visual portrayal of slaying a dragon is spot on perfect. It is just fantastic, all right? So let's talk about it. So how do they do it? All right, so first of all, the gnome bar, so they go to the dragon's lair, right? And even that's awesome. They have to solve a mystery to find the dragon. So first of all, and that's perfect, right? The dragon has been hiding himself as a person, right? That's brilliant. And I actually love that because it shows how magically powerful dragons are. And they don't just sit in their lair, they get around and they do cool stuff, right? So this dragon was hiding himself as General Krieg, right? And then, in addition, so first of all, they had to solve the mystery of who was the dragon, and then they had to find a magical portal that led to the dragon's lair, right? So they get in, and so one, they got to solve a mystery. 2, they have to have the courage to step through this portal, right, and be magically transported to a new location, right? Now they're in front of the dragon. The dragon shows himself as an ancient blue dragon, right? He ain't no youngling. This is a pure ancient blue dragon, right? So what happens next? So first of all, the team, does a little gum flapping with the dragon before they fight, and the dragon's like, oh, hey, thanks for coming into my lair. Now I'm going to roast you, and you're all going to die. And he does exactly that. He uses his breath weapon. And he waits for the smoke to clear to look at their bones and see if he can pick some meat off of their charred remains. And they gone, right? And they're gone because the gnome bard has put an illusion up, and the entire team has moved, right? So first, and this is perfect. This is spot on, perfect execution for defeating a dragon. First, you solve a mystery. Then you show courage to go into an unusual place. Then you have to be able to absorb the attack of the dragon, because you can bet that dragon is going to beat your initiative, right? And so, and when you ain't just going to throw up a shield, man. You got to have a well-timed maneuver in order to get out of the dragon. And they showed that, right? Basically they had to use magic to absorb the attack of the dragon. Next, the half-elf rogue, I think it's Vax, actually does a huge sweeping maneuver, okay? And when this huge sweeping maneuver is done, he does an absolutely massive moving attack that slices the dragon's neck clean open on one of the plates, right? And this is very big. You have to have a big, massively damaging attack, right? And one of the things that I think is great, like it can be tough. Like we kind of convert number attacks into story, and we in a story we could say, your attack slices open, this specific plate off the dragon's, armor. And so essentially, Vax, the half-elf rogue, slices open the dragon's neck and leaves him very much exposed in a critical place. Next, Vex, the half-elf ranger, who is Vax's brother, right? At this point, she puts in a perfectly placed natural 20 archery attack on the dragon, right? And now that would be useful, but this is a dragon, right? You got to put a little extra juice on this, right? So what's the extra juice? Well, the gnome cleric puts on a magical radiant damage onto the archery attack, so onto specifically the arrow, right? So it's not just an arrow, a well-placed arrow striking directly into an exposed part of the flesh, but it's an arrow that is put into that has been given additional damage from a radiant source. Perfect, right? And honestly, if you are going to take down a dragon, your entire team needs to be working in perfect unison. And they showed that perfectly in Vox Machina, Legends of Vox Machina, right? Last, you have the barbarian, who then perfectly times a fully manifested long movement, right? Long movement, and absolutely, critically strikes the dragon right on the top of his head with a massive, huge axe thrust directly to the dome. And in order to do it, this massive barbarian has to move at exactly the right pace, strike at exactly the right time, hit with everything he's got, and in addition to that, he had to put himself into a position where if he failed that roll, if he rolled a 1, right, he was going to end up in that dragon's mouth, and that dragon was going to chew him up, right? Or he may have just put him into his belly, and then they still might have defeated the dragon. But if the barbarian had screwed up at all, right, what would have ended up happening is there could have been an explosion. There's a combustion engine of fluids, of highly flammable fluids in a dragon, and you could defeat a dragon and get killed just from the explosion of the body itself, because it's got fuel sacks and fire all over, right? So, and when you watch the Legends of Vox Machina, all this was right there. This was perfectly executed. The other thing that I think Legends of Vox Machina is doing is it's pointing everybody to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, right? It's saying, hey, oh, did you like this? Well, guess what this was born from? This was born directly from the pages of Mike Smurl's 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, which was birthed from the egg of Gary Gygax's 1st edition Dungeons & Dragons, right? Oh, did you like that? But then we, the Dungeons & Dragons players, we look at this and we're like, wait a second, those dudes had an awesome, very well-crafted fight, and it took 5 minutes, right? It didn't take an hour and a half, right? And so I think, when we look at things fully in, we're also like, man, can we get our combats faster, right? And so it's an inspiration on the other side as well. And I think Legends of Vox Machina is so well executed, especially in the combat scenes, that it really challenges us to see if we can make our Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition combats less mechanical, less long, and more dramatic and cinematic the way Legends of Vox Machina showed. It was perfectly executed. This is the best example, modern example of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition combat, and how a group working in unison can slay the greatest icon in the game. It's extremely well done. Very much applaud to Critical Role. I've been listening to you guys in the comments, and you're going, hey, it's not all Matthew Mercer. Some of the some of the Critical Role people were involved in the good parts too. I'm giving that some thought. I'm not fully sold on it. I really think this is a Mercer success, but I'm trying to see what you guys are saying. But overall, man, this, I have to say, now that it's delivered, right, and it's in our grubby little hands, I like it. I've been thinking all day about how well that dragon combat, and the fact that Matthew Mercer is like, you want to fight a dragon? Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition is the way you do it. It's the way I've been doing it for years and years and years. And if you want a super dope game like mine, there ain't only but one place you want to find it, and that's Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. This is the biggest, best, dopest advertisement for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition ever created. I'm just falling in love with this thing, right? Yeah, that's my take. What do you think? What do you think? How do you think they did at showing an epic fight with an epic, iconic dragon? Do you think it was good and showed, the raw energy we get in our Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition games? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful millennium.